Hey everybody, this is Coach Floyd. Hey, we're going to be working on the breakout game. I'm going to help you through the first part of it, and then we're going to pseudocode through the next part. You'll have this week and the 2 days of next week before Thanksgiving break to work on this. Again, if you get stuck, have trouble, let me know through an email or check in with me on office hours, and we can go. All right, so the first thing we are going to do is we're going to make the bricks. So the goal of this part is to get these bricks popped up here and the number of rows, the number of bricks per row, spacing, and then we also have the color. We have to have to make problem or change the colors depending on what the row number is. So let's get in here and do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable named brick. I'm going to make it a global. And I'm going to call a function, and I'm going to call it make bricks. Not doing that. Function make bricks. Now, make bricks right here is just going to run 2 for loops because we want all the bricks to hit at the same time. We're not running a timer on this part. So in order to make rows and columns of bricks, we need 2 for loops. So for var I equals 0, I is less than. The first for loop is going to run the bricks across the screen. And so that is right here, num bricks per row. Plus plus. And my next for loop is going to run, make sure you're using all j's across here, is less than the num rows, control C, control V, j plus plus. Alright, so now in here I gotta actually make my bricks, okay? So I'm gonna go brick equals new rectangle, and that has brick width. There we go. Run that first. And brick height. Okay. And then we're going to go brick dot set position. Now, what I'm going to use is back when we did the brick wall, we did the circle wall and brick wall. When we place rectangles on the screen across in a row or anything like that, we have to use the size of the brick and the count, the number of the brick. So what I'm doing, since I'm going across the screen, I'm using the brick width, and I'm multiplying that by the number of the brick, so that is I. And I'm going to do the same thing in the Y direction. And times J, because it's talking about the rows. And I'm going to just do that for now and add brick. And let's see what that does. Alright, so it puts it on there. However, it's not spaced the way we want it to. So what we have to do is we not only have to multiply the brick width, but we also have to add in this brick spacing. Okay, so I am going to order of operations plus brick spacing. Okay, so I had to put this in parentheses, and now you can see the space, right? But you see that there's not enough space at the beginning, and there's too much space at the end. So I'm going to add one more brick spacing. And run it. Right there. And you can see a lot of this is just kind of guessing and checking as we go. But I'm going to do the exact same thing right here, except I have to make sure I use brick height and add one more brick spacing. Um, I added that brick spacing. However, there's a brick top offset. So in the Y direction, I don't add a brick spacing at the top. I add a brick top offset, and there it goes. All right, so those are perfectly spaced, right where we want them. Now, the colors. Let's make a function to control the colors. So I'm gonna say add color. Let's call that our function. Now the colors are based on what row is being made. So I need to send in a parameter of which row I'm on, and that is J. Okay, so I'll make it up here. Function, add color, bringing in, I'm gonna call it row right here, because I don't have to have the same. It doesn't have to be the same. It just takes the value. Now, once I'm here, I need to know in our assignment over here, it tells us to use the modulus. So I know that I have 8 rows. So for every 8 rows, I have to add a color. Okay. So what I'm going to do is if the row modulus by 8, okay, because I have 8 rows, if that is equal to 0, then that means I am on row 0. And if I look, row 0 is the top row, it should be red, as well as row 1. Okay, so what I can do is if row mod 8 equals 0 or row mod 8 equals 1, then I want to do a brick dot set color of color dot red. Then I go else if, I'm going to borrow all of this again, but I'm going to change it to row 2 and 3. Then brick dot set color color dot orange. Else if rows 4 and 5 are, I believe they're yellow. Double check. Nope, green and then blue. So brick dot set color dot green. And since there's only one more option, just do an else. Brick dot set color of color dot blue. Alright, so when I run my code now, I have my colors. And the reason we do the modulus and don't just say, you know, row 0 and row 1 is red is because if I came up here and I said that I wanted 32 rows, the modulus, no matter how many rows I give it, using the modulus in this way is always going to work, because row 0 modded by 8 is 0. Row 8 modded by 8 is 0. Row 16 modded by 8 is 0. Okay, so, and it just continually goes. Let's see here. Alright, so that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this code, okay, every bit of it. I'm going to open up the ball and paddle, the next part, and I'm going to replace everything that's in here, okay. Everything that's in here I'm just going to paste. You know, it started as, so this is what it starts as. I'm just going to take it all, delete it, and then paste all the code from the first part, okay. And what I have, okay, so now in here I have all of that, right? There's all my stuff, but now I've started adding some things. So what this one wants is, it wants the bricks, but it wants the ball bouncing around the around the world. And we have that bouncing ball code that they gave us in the animation and games unit. So basically, I'm just going to take the check walls function, the ball.move, and stuff like that, and I'm going to do that. I'm also going to add a paddle. A couple things with the paddle is the paddle is located at the bottom of the screen. It follows the mouse. Okay, so that means that I only have one paddle, so I create the paddle in the start, but then I move it with a mouse move method. So it follows the paddle. Notice that the middle of the paddle is following the mouse. Okay, it only follows in the X direction, and the paddle does not go off the screen. So that's important too. So basically, the paddle only moves if the location of the mouse is between this location and this location. All right, so not from 0 to get width. It's limited a little bit. So what do? We call make ball. Okay, so make ball makes a ball that starts in the center of the screen. Now make sure that you do this right here. Ball and paddle, make sure that you put those up there as globals. Okay, but we have our make bricks, then we make a ball and we make a paddle. That's just drawing them on the screen. Okay, then we have a set timer that calls play. Well, that is the timer that makes the ball move. So play makes the ball move and bounce using the helper function of check walls in order to make sure the ball bounces. The mouse move method, okay, needs to be called in your start function. It's going to call move paddle. Make sure you throw the E in there. And this sets the position of the paddle to follow the mouse in the X direction. So make sure the center of the paddle follows the mouse, and make sure it doesn't leave the screen. Okay, so basically when you do a new paddle.set position in here, your X is going to follow the mouse, your Y is going to be the same as it was when you made the paddle. Okay, and there's a paddle offset. That's how far off the bottom the paddle needs to be. All right, so when you finish this, you're going to select all. You're going to copy everything from in here, and you're going to open up part 3, which is Breakout. You're going to copy everything that's in Breakout, delete it, and then paste all of your code in here. Now, what this one does is actually makes the gameplay. I didn't mean to hit that. So this is where your play hits. Okay, you're hitting bricks, you're bouncing off of them, you're making them disappear, you're bouncing off your paddle, and if you hit the bottom, boom, then your ball resets. Okay, now we did an exercise called pause, and I think I gave you all that code. You'll want to implement that in here to make the ball stop. So in your check walls, when the ball hits the bottom, you'll have a Boolean that tells it to stop moving, and then you'll have a mouse click method that makes it start moving again. So a couple miscellaneous things. When the ball gets reset, it pauses till you click, so like the pause ball exercise. Stop the game after the ball falls to the bottom 3 times. So you need to counter knowing when it does. When it does, you need to display that you lose. Or if you get all the bricks, then you need to counter counting all the bricks, and you do that. If you want to add this stuff, that's up to you. I'm going to show you the rubric that I'm going to use to grade you in just a minute. And I will post it also. Alright, so how do we... Alright, so when we're in our play, okay, so after we move the ball, make it bounce, we're going to have a find bricks function and also a find paddle function. In find bricks, the way we know if we are hitting a brick is we use this get element at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check all 4 sides of the ball. So right here, I'm checking the top of the ball. I'm checking to see what the top of the ball is hitting. So the top of the ball, the element, so I'm storing, if there's an element, I'm storing it in this variable. So get element at ball.getX, ball.getY minus ball radius. This is the top point of the ball. If there is an element there, or actually whatever is there gets stored in top element. If I'm touching a brick, then that element is stored there. If I am not touching anything, then the word null is stored. Null just means I'm not touching anything. There's no object I'm touching. So if the top element is not null, that means I am touching a brick. So I bounce and then I remove that element. Okay, so that's how I remove a brick. I can't just say remove brick because there's a lot of bricks and it only knows to remove the last brick that was placed. So I don't want to do that. Now, I have four sides to my ball. I need to have something like this. I need to have a left element, a right element, a bottom element. I need to make sure that I'm, for the bottom of the ball, this turns into a plus sign. For the left and right side, I don't do this on the Y, I do it on the X. The left and right bounce in the DX direction. Okay, so you're going to have four of these. And then also, once you get your counter going, then you're going to have a counter in there counting because you just busted a brick. So you need to know if you keep a count of it. If you do, then you can throw up a display message, okay, a new text box that says you win, stuff like that. Okay, so this one is a little bit more. There's also find paddle, like I said, and it uses something similar to find bricks because it's looking using the bottom of the ball to find the paddle. Okay, of course you don't want to remove the paddle, so don't remove the paddle. Other than that, the rest of it is just simple counters, if statements to find out if you've won, if you lost, and so forth. So again, this is going to take some time. Take your time on it, work through it, guess and check, try something, run it. If you get totally lost and totally confused, then send me an email. Don't send me an email with nothing done because you just got confused reading. Like try it. Try to follow through this, okay? But again, let me know if you need any help.